What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the show. You already know who it is. It's your host with the most, back with another video. Today we've got a very special video for you all, conspiracy segments. But before we do that, let's introduce our host.
You're watching the Get Up Show.
Daily reminder that these are the people that actually decide basically everything on behalf of the entire country, where our money gets spent, how much we pay in taxes, whether or not TikTok gets banned, what's considered freedom, what's not. These people probably don't even know how to attach a PDF file to an email. These people probably don't even know how to connect their phone to the Wi-Fi. These people haven't worked a real fucking job in probably 30 years. And also keep in mind that once you get voted into one of these political positions, you get paid at minimum like $200,000 for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So with a lot of these political positions, these are actually long running positions, 10 years, 20 years. Sometimes these people are in these political parties, for close to like 30, 40 years, right? For their entire careers. They're basically involved with the government, deciding what laws and what other things that need to be ran for the entire country, for the entire government. So these people do it for a very long time. It's basically like a long form of power, right? Before, like when we had monarchs and things like those, and dictatorships and long running family forms of power, these people would hold forms of power for generations, right? For years before they handed it off to the next person. Usually that was someone who was in their same camp. But stay tuned for the next few videos and you'll see what I mean.
So they can just sit in Congress, do absolutely nothing, and just age gracefully, in quotation marks. The worst part about elderly people being in political power is that they're not even going to have to live through the decisions that they are making on behalf of everyone else.
Mind you, for every other elderly person outside of the government, you see them as people who need to be taken care of, right? People who are weaker, people who are more feeble. Sure, people who have a lot of experience over the years, right? But these are people whose minds are starting to go, right? Do you think they should be involved with deciding what your country has, what your country is doing, right? When some of them don't even know which medication to take, so
They'll be gone by the time actual real consequences come from their actions that they're deciding on right now. It just makes me sick. And if you look down there, I don't see a single person that looks like they are even at the age of 40. Every single one of these people is 60 plus, and there's a reason for that.
Senator Biden.
This next video is actually then Senator Biden. And it looks like around this time he was somewhere in his, if we go back about 30 years, somewhere in his late 40s to 50s. So that actually paints some sort of picture about what the last guy was talking about in the last video.
How are you?
Skip Lumberg from the 90s.
Hey, Skip, how are you?
PBS.
Nice to see you. How you doing?
Good.
So, are you sorry you weren't up there yourself, or you?
Oh, I couldn't have done as well as Clinton by a long shot. He did a first-rate job tonight. I think if someone had had amnesia the last 4 years and came back and tuned this in, they'd assume it was a two-person race, Clinton and Perot. I was dumbfounded. The president, he wasn't even in it. He didn't get it. Doesn't understand. I don't know.
Isn't it funny how the then Senator Biden is saying the then president doesn't get it? Right? It's funny how when it's his turn to be the president in his older age, that now we're saying the same thing about him. How he just doesn't get it. What is he doing in the presidency? The thing I think is around this time, I think that should have been, this should be the perfect kind of age for any president to be in, right? Around their 40s, 50s, maybe 60s. Once you get past that, you shouldn't be allowed into office, right? There should be like an age limit. Not just because like it's a health thing, it's probably stressful, things like those. But also you need to have someone with a sharp mind to be able to lead an entire country, right? You can't just have someone um whose mind is going just willy-nilly writing some of the largest deals in history, right? What if we're in war, right? If their minds aren't completely there, they might sign off on something going completely wrong, right? So you never want that. But I just thought it was funny that Joe Biden is thinking the same things we're thinking about him now.
What's
What's
going
the
on?
big difference? What's
He doesn't know what's going on.
The fundamental difference is you got a guy who still is stuck in the past in everything. I mean, what skills he had as a leader in the Cold War are irrelevant. Here's a guy saying keep 150,000 troops in Europe, but don't go near Bosnia. Well, what the hell are they there for? I mean, there's no Soviet Union. There's no threat. I happen to believe we should keep troops in Europe. I think 100,000 is more than enough for pre-positioning purposes. But, I mean, he has no clue. And I thought the best one was trying to convince American people it's not an economic problem.
yeah,
Right. Oh, that was
that was
good.
rich.
That was real.
And this part was why I added this. Was also why I added this. It's almost like he was rehearsing for a speech. Like, yeah, oh, that was good. That was real good. Sometimes I wonder, are politicians really just actors? That's what you gotta wonder sometimes, because some of these deals a lot of these deals the public don't really see. So, but when he comes in front of the masses, he has to put on a speech like this, and it's just funny that right after this speech he says, "Oh, that was a good one." Now he was rehearsing. But let's continue. And before we continue, actually, I'd like for you all to leave a like, cause we need y'all to leave a like to help this channel. Subscribe for more. And also share this video so that more people can find it. Share it on Facebook. Share it on Instagram. I don't care. Share it on YouTube if you want. I'll give you the green light.
Good, I like that.
We gotta go.
So, with all these surrogates here, is this what the new Clinton administration is going to look like?
Oh, I'm going to be chairman of the Judiciary Committee, helping put through 3 or 4 really sound, first-rate Supreme Court justices. Pray God.
Okay, folks, bye.
And remember, this is the same Biden who I think he had something to do with the prison system, the U.S. prisons reform system or something like that. So as you can see here in this clip, he's talking about becoming part of the Judiciary Committee. And I don't really know what that committee does. Add in the comment section below and let's have a discussion. So what are your thoughts on this video?
Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years. 4 more years.
So this is another funny one. That was Biden then. This is Biden now, right? The man who is reading from a teleprompter. He doesn't have that gift of gab anymore where he could just make up a speech, right? He has to read from a teleprompter because, it has to be very concise, direct message, right? And he has a whole committee behind him now you don't have to make up your messages now. We can write them for you. But the problem with that is, obviously, you don't know whether or not part of that sentence is what you're supposed to say or what you're just supposed to read. And he overlooked that part.
This is pray God.
Okay, folks, bye.
Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years. 4 more years.
And anyone freaked out a little by that chant? 4 more years. 4 more years. Nah, that's kind of crazy to me. 4 more years. No.
4 more years.
Who's voting for this guy for another 4 years, bro? He's damn near got a foot out the door.
The
Talking about
biggest
4 more
industries
years.
in America. They have created driverless semi-trucks.
So this next clip, we're doing a slight pivot into the technology industry. And again, with these old people in these offices, they're passing these laws which allow these companies to be able to do these things, right? For example, autonomous and driverless semi-trucks, right? And people understand that the semi-truck industry is a multi-billion-dollar to who knows, maybe trillion-dollar industry, because obviously logistics, it fuels economy, right? You need your products, you need your goods, you need your services. So a lot of people rely on these jobs. It's a very well-paying job, and a lot of people rely on it. So being able to pass these laws to allow these companies to remove those people basically and put robots in those seats, number one, there's a safety issue. Number two, especially with the technology not being where it's at, you're still going to need people in the seat, right? I see AI right now as it is right now, just as a helping tool. Like it's not going to do the work for you. It's just going to help you do the work a little bit more easier. Now, if it's something like that, I understand. But if you're talking about literally removing the driver and then having a driverless, how heavy is a truck? What, 10,000 pounds or something like that? I don't even know how heavy a truck is, a semi, and that's just the cab itself. That's without any load, right? How heavy is the load? Pause. So there's an obvious safety thing, and number two is the economy. What effect is this gonna have on the labor force, right? Where people, hundreds of thousands of people rely on driving these trucks to make a living for their families. What's the impact? And the people who are passing these laws aren't thinking about that. They're only thinking about the bottom line, that the bottom line effect is going to have on the economy, right? The bottom line these companies are giving them to be able to push these laws in the place, right? And that's what the first guy in the clip was talking about. These people will be long gone before they actually see the effects that these laws bring. But let's continue.
And before the end of this year, they plan to have them on the roads in Texas running fully autonomously.
So what is the government going to do for the people that don't have no more work?
Nothing. All they're going to say is, pull yourselves up by the bootstraps. I don't really think they'll do much, unless they'll give you like some sort of stipend or something like that to be able to drive these autonomous cars. What I see is, because these cars will require less effort, they might bring the pay down a little more, just to compensate for how much they're investing into these trucks. So truck drivers, you might still have your job, but your pay might go down as a result, because they have to recoup that money from somewhere, right? They're investing millions of dollars in self-driving trucks. They're gonna need to recoup it somewhere.
Because of AI taking over the truck driver.
Many drivers we spoke with say they're afraid.
And I'm pretty sure removing, I don't think it's gonna be an overnight thing. I'm pretty sure it's gonna take time, maybe like 5 to 10 years for people to start seeing job layoffs being affected worldwide or nationwide. But even then, I don't think it's going to be everyone's jobs going. Number one, not every company is going to reuse this. And number two, not every number one, not every company is going to have AI. Number two, not every company is gonna get rid of their best drivers. So there is that. But time will tell. Let's continue.
Of this taking their jobs.
I want to get a bunch of my guys together and go picket that company because it's going to be a chain reaction. You're going to have other companies.
Does picketing ever work? Leave it in the comment section below.
Coming up and they're gonna repeat the technology and it's gonna put us out of a job.
The Teamsters are a large trucking union representing tens of thousands of drivers. They sent Pittsburgh's Action News 4 this statement that reads in part: there should always be a well-trained and properly licensed person in the front seat of a vehicle. No matter what any big tech company says, there isn't a single driverless vehicle on the road today that's anywhere close to operating at the same capacity as a human driver. That's a view the American Trucking Association wholly disagrees with.
You know why the American Trucking Association disagrees that AI is not as safe as a driver behind the wheel? Because they're the ones spending millions, maybe billions of dollars to develop these technologies. It's already an investment. They already have a hold. Of course they're going to say that's not true. Of course. But look at the self-driving promise that Elon Musk gave a few years back, right? When it came time for what year was it? 2020 or 2021? When it came back, when it came time for him to stand up to the promise he made years before that, they asked him, where is the self-driving capability in these Tesla cars that you promised, right? They still weren't ready. So when people say, how safe is this going to be when even Tesla cars being 2,000 pounds are crashing, right? When even Tesla cars are running off of the road, thinking this is a left turn or a right turn, or this is the exit for the highway. How safe is it going to be when you have to drive through cities, not just interstate highways, right? When it comes down to that, of course it's not safe yet, right? Because at the end of the day, these trucks are still going to have to go into these cities from the highways. How safe is it going to be then? Now, like I said, if it's some tool where it's assisting people, like like the automatic braking, when you're driving too close to a car and your car slows down, when your car notices a car stopped in front of you, your car stops without you doing anything, right? If it's things like those where you still need someone behind the wheel, right? That's the safest option I see, regardless of there's a robot in the seat or not. If there's a robot driving, but at the same time you've got a human operator to operate the machine.
That's an antiquated argument. If you have a shortage of talent, as big as 70,000 drivers short in our industry, you can add as many automated trucks as you want. You're not going to fill that void.
Guess what? Every trucker out there, whether they have an 8th grade education or high school education, knows they're likely not to have a job.
But education never used to be the case 30, 40, 50 years ago when it comes to driving trucks. It used to be whether you have a rig or you just know how to drive with a CDL, you can get a job and you can make some really good money to take care of your family. But now they're trying to get rid of that. They're trying to put barriers in front of you, but at the same time leverage AI to make the amount of these jobs go down. the supply of these jobs go down. So the supply of these jobs is going down while the requirements for you to get into these jobs is going up. So how is that gonna be able to sustain the economy except for the businesses? The businesses are gonna be the only people reaping the rewards of this. It's not gonna be the people, right? Are you going to get your products that much faster? You might get it a day earlier, but there's gonna be someone out there who doesn't have food to eat, who doesn't have money to buy food because they're out of a job. They have to be content with that, and it sounds like they already are.
In the next 3, 4, 5 years.
So do you hear that? Let me bring that clip back one more time.
Fill that void.
Guess what? Every trucker out there with an 8th grade education or high school education knows they're likely not to have a job in the next 3, 4, 5 years.
So this video actually, I just remembered. We have our comments. So let me go here. Let me take this off real quick. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Give me a second. 1 second. And let's go to the comments here. Boom. Okay. So this person says, I'm coming for your jobs. So wait until there's no Wi-Fi connection. Exactly. See, there's always going to be a problem. Have you ever been driving with your GPS and then you notice that it says turn left or turn right while you're on a highway or on a bridge? So is the problem that I automatically see, how's the GPS going to work, right? Is the robot going to be able to know the difference between, is there a turn here? Is it going to look to see if there's a place to turn, or is it just going to automatically think, because the GPS says turn here, I should start turning here, right? See, a human operator could correct that. If the truck starts to say turn incoming, you could say no, there is no turn there, or you could grab the wheel and force it to not start to turn the entire semi truck off the bridge. There'll be no need for trucks soon anyway, because nobody will have money to buy anything, because it could affect the economy. Those robots will be scrapped for copper wires real quick. That's if they don't work. Now, I'm not saying that these trucks won't work. What I'm saying is that these trucks might not work as well as they think they will. He's not gonna have a job come November 2024. When a robot commits vehicular homicide, who goes to jail? That's a good question. Is it going to be the manufacturer? Is it going to be the business owner? Who goes to jail when the vehicle runs off that bridge and then falls on whoever's walking under it? And how much is going to be the payout for the insurance for that person's family? Because it's going to be tragic. And you guys are going to have to answer for that. Easy fix. Any company that uses those trucks without drivers should be boycotted. Facts. Because it's a big safety issue. And not only that, it just shows that you don't really care about your drivers. Like, you're willing to let go of them as soon as a solution comes for them not to be there. So let's go to the next clip. Let's continue.
Who's going to win the White House in 2024?
Who do you think will win the White House in 2032? Which type of AI? Transformers or diffusion?
If you read between the lines, what that man just said is it does not matter who wins in 2024 because he and the rest of the people are taking these computer chips and these robots and these AIs and they're building a new world that's going to be here real soon. And they don't care if you pick between dumb and dumber. And they don't care if you have stupid choices because soon you will have no choices and you will have no power. Do y'all understand the robots and the chips that are coming and that there is nobody, not a single person in this world standing up to say, hey, what are y'all doing? Because the truth of the matter is we all have such little time on this earth that for most of us, we don't have enough to sacrifice to go out and try to shape where the world is headed. We're going to take our 24 and do what we can today and then do what we can tomorrow. And there's a small group of people who have outsized rewards in this life. They've won the roulette wheel that is fucking America's capitalist globalist economy. And they're taking their trillions, their hundreds of billions, and they're building a new world. And so all of the problems of society, fuck you.
So I added that clip in there because the thing with politicians, right, is they're essentially able to be lobbied for, right? So when a politician is running for office, they're able to get donations and sponsorships from anybody, from people from across the world, from businesses, from corporations. They're able to get donations so that they can have the funds to run, right? Unless they just have that money themselves and they're willing to front the money and risk losing millions of dollars if they lose, right? So when someone offers to put you in office for however much the funding is, when someone just offers, there is going to be something that comes behind that you'll be required to do. I'm pretty sure there would, right? So I think what this guy is saying here is that it doesn't really matter who's going to be in the office for 2024 because regardless, someone had to put him there, right? Regardless, someone had to sponsor these people to be here, right? And outside of that, someone is going to have to, when they are in office, lobby for certain laws and certain benefits to be pushed for certain corporations and businesses to do what they do. So I think what he's saying is, with AI, I think that was more of a joke. Who's gonna be president in 2032? The transformer president or whatever. That was more of a joke. But the thing I think this guy's saying. Oh, my camera turned off. The thing I think this guy is saying is, when these companies lobby, it doesn't really matter who's in office because these politicians, again, can be bought. Even when they are in office, even after they become part of whatever office they're in, they can still be persuaded for certain laws and benefits to be pushed in one direction while other laws and benefits are ignored or taken away from others, right? And we see that a lot throughout this country, especially the US.
Trillions, they're hundreds of billions, and they're building a new world. And so all of the problems of society, fuck you.
One of the things that you said early on when you founded Neuralink, I would put words in your mouth more along the lines of you can't beat them, join them when it comes to merging the neocortex and the cloud, adding that additional computational capacity and sensory capacity to the neocortex.
Just the fact that Elon Musk is FaceTiming this entire conference is crazy. Like the guy's on his phone, like he's on FaceTime.
This is actually something that Ian Banks in the culture books, which I really recommend everyone read. In the culture books, there's something called a neural lace. So all the humans have this neural lace. It's essentially a high bandwidth brain to computer interface. So good that it actually retains all of your memories and kind of brain state. So even if your physical body dies, you can kind of reincorporate in another physical body and retain, pretty much your original memories and brain state. I don't think it's a long way from that. We only just had our first.
Yeah, the problem that I see with this is what, like, so you'll be able to upload your memories, right, to this neural link, and I've seen um an example of him showing the neural link with someone who is a paraplegic, um, paralyzed from the neck down. So they're literally not able to use any function of their body at all. So I see the benefit in it. So they connected the Neuralink to this person's head, and they were able to control the mouse on their computer. They were able to type, and using where their eyes were looking, they were able to move the mouse cursor. And things like those, it's really neat and really innovative. The problem that I see is, and it was more of a joke when I thought this, but what happens when, like how is that memory system gonna work? Is it gonna be like subscription based? Like, what if someone doesn't pay? Are they now gonna not be able to remember things? Like, how is that gonna work? And another thing is, like, I'm pretty sure Elon, being Elon, he's going to be able to use this data that you're uploading of your memories, right? Are they going to use this data to further train a model, train an AI model to be able to have memories? And that would be a pretty cool step into having, I wouldn't say real artificial intelligence where it thinks it's alive, but it would be a really big step in that direction. But let's continue.
Relate the human, which is going quite well. The first patient is actually able to control their computer just by thinking. So like the first product we call telepathy, where you can control your computer and phone, and through your computer and phone almost anything, just by thinking.
With 170.
So let's look at some of the comments for this one. Okay, so this one says Elon Musk FaceTimes in from private jet. All right, so that's the caption. And this man just explored the idea of achieving eternal consciousness, yet the caption focuses solely on the connection from his private jet. I will never understand these times. All right, that was just a blabber comment. I don't think this would be eternal consciousness because it's just uploading your memories. It's not like, now, unless you're able to transfer your consciousness, that's different. Your consciousness to a machine. The problem that's always going to be there is that actually you? Is that consciousness actually you? Right? And it's not. It's going to be a copy. So this body is going to die, and that's just going to be a copy of whatever was in my mind. Even if it keeps going, that's not me. Even the memories. I mean, it would be a pretty cool project. Like, it's still revolutionary stuff. And it's a step in the right direction, but it's far from what he's saying here. Saving people's brains would lead to a legacy of dictators living forever. We are watching the prequel of an in real life dystopia right now. Yeah, we are. This is like the start of those Black Mirror movies. So he just said if you die, you can be brought back to life with the same mind in a new body. Didn't they make a movie about this? Yeah, it's called RoboCop. It is tasteless to prolong life, Albert Einstein. How will we obtain the bodies to upload old consciousness in? You'll need about $300,000 and enough insurance to last you for the rest of your life. Instead of answering the question, he makes a sales pitch. All right, so let's move on to the next one.
So like the first product.
With 175 stores, Whole Foods is the undisputed leader.
So this is a pivot from technology into the remainder of society. And we'll be covering foods.
In organic foods and promotes locally grown. But the I-Team has found that much of Whole Foods organics are imported from China.
Honestly, I would have never flipped it over to see that it was a product of China.
Spinach, sugar snap peas, and would you believe California blend vegetables? All listed under the Whole Foods brand 365 Organic. And on the back in small print, product of China. Organic ensures pesticide-free, environmentally friendly conditions. But how do we even know the food is organic? Food sold in this country must be approved by the U.S. Department of Agriculture before they can display the organic label.
The oversight that they have in China is not the same kind of supervision that we have in the United States.
But the USDA doesn't inspect imported foods. It certifies private inspectors to do the job. Whole Foods employs a company called Quality Assurance International. But the company confirms QAI has not certified any products in China. They rely on another certifier on the farm.
Yeah. So with this post, I added it because these are the times we're going into where people are trying to industrialize these processes even more, right? Agriculture, technology, relationships. They're trying to capitalize it even further than they have before with AI, with different types of technology, stem cells, all those different types of researches, genetically modified foods, things like those. So I'm not really surprised that we're seeing fake food being made. But let's look at the comments and you'll see. Because they've been doing this for a while, especially with like vegetables, things like those. Well, I don't know about fake meat, but they've for sure been producing a lot of vegetables. Printing meat is insane. I've never seen anything like this before. So no the F we won't, this person said. What do we look like for the packages to make sure? What do we look for on the packages to make sure we're not eating this? I'm not sure if it's going to tell you. These scientists need prison time. Facts. Vegans really want to eat meat so badly. I'm pretty sure vegans really started to turn away from meat when they started to see the industrialization in it. Like before, when people used to have the sacrificial lamb and have to slaughter the animals that they grew, and they know how they grow them. I don't think they had problems with eating meat until they started to see how the industrial process started to affect the quality. Maybe that's what happened with vegans. Maybe that's how they began. This should be illegal. It kills me that they don't let the citizens vote on that. They never do. Some of the biggest influential things in society, people rarely get to vote on them. Like you'll just see a law passed, or you'll just see They just approve regulation for, they just approve this product. They just approved, who approved, not you. Yeah, they approved it for you. Exactly. Because you're going to be the one to buy it. So they're just asking, not asking, they're just doing it on your behalf. You know, whether you'll buy it or not, they'll just say it's up to you. It's the same argument that I think is with alcohol and drugs. Like, they'll say people didn't force you to drink, people didn't force you to smoke, but they'll put these things into your communities. So, regardless of if someone's never taken a drink before or not, just because the liquor store is in their community, they're going to have a higher chance of drinking just because the liquor store is there. Right? Even though even if they've never had the thought of drinking before in their lives, just the fact that the liquor store is there, it gives them the possibility of being able to drink again. So things like those, it's always made outside of your say so. It's just we have to I guess boycott some of these corporations and businesses and see what they how they pivot. Like, are people tired of these things? That's what I'm wondering, because they seem to still buy them.
In China, they rely on another certifier on the farm.
Soon. And the things with these certifiers and these people who inspect the quality of these products, the problem with them hiring a company to do it for them in-house is the company can always lie on your behalf. The company you hire. Now, if it was some government regulator that comes in, then that would be a different story. But some of the most egregious things, they have in-house inspectors.
The entire world will start eating meat printed by a printer. And here's why.
And that's why it's so easy for these things to just be willy-nilly, freely thrown into people's communities without care.
The reason this meat resembles real meat so closely.
Because the people making these meats, they're not going to be eating any fake meat. All right? They're going to be eating some prime lean meats that have been grown, right? The old natural way. But they'll sell you this meat. It's the same thing with how Steve Jobs says his kids don't even have iPhones. And yet his whole thing was behind the Apple products. And yet they don't have iPads or iPhones. Or Bill Gates with the Windows computers and the Windows products, how he says his kids don't. He doesn't allow his kids to have some of those products, even though his whole bread and butter is selling those products to you.
Is because the bio inks used by the printer for its creation.
It's the same thing with don't do as I do, do what I tell you to do.
Are actually stem cells.
So they want you to eat fake meat while they profit. They'll be eating real meat. And funny thing is, if you walk into a supermarket right now that is selling fake meat, right? Chances are there's still going to be people who buy it just because it might be cheaper, right? It might be cheaper. It might taste the same. Remember when those organic meats started coming out? Those impossible meats? People were buying those. Those cheeses that weren't really cheese, plant-based cheese. I had a plant-based cheese in my fridge for about 3 months and it never changed color or made mold or anything. But when I opened it, it smelled like straight alcohol. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is not cheese. But when you put it on the stove, it melts like cheese. And the thing is, you'll never really see the side effects until years later when you just up and have cancer. But it's going to be too late after that.
Extracted from cows and then grown in a lab. Once there are enough cells, a computer decides the shape of the meat, the ratio of fat to meat, and then the printing process begins. Look at these details. They are identical to real beef. And when it is ready and served, you won't even feel the difference.
You won't even feel the difference. Yeah, right.
Many tech companies have already set their sights on the promising area of printing. To grow expensive and rare Japanese meat, you need at least a few years. But printing allows this to be done in just 2 minutes.
Just 2 minutes. So the trade-off is you'll have meat in 2 minutes that it would have taken 2 years to have. That's the industrialization. That's the trade-off. It's cheap, it's efficient, and you can make a lot more money from it. Now, the side effects, they're not caring about the side effects, are they? They're gonna have to wait and see what the side effects are, which can take years. And again, you might just have to up and catch cancer, up and find out you have cancer. And I'm pretty sure you won't know where that cancer is from. You'll just see why are these tumors growing at an alarming rate in your body? I've been eating so much fake meat, bro. I don't even know what's going on. Like probably the stem cells are gonna be binding in with these tissues that are overgrowing, and then you're just gonna have the tumor the size of a steak, right? You're gonna have a tumor the size of a steak. Talking about, I ate some fake meat.
Plus, there's no need to slaughter 900,000 cows daily.
It was cheap.
Not to mention other living beings. Besides, it's cheaper and can be
Besides, it's cheaper. You want to know what's not as cheap? That bill when you have to get chemo.
produced in much larger volumes. Only advantages, unless it turns out over time.
It's going to be ironic. You got the meat because it was cheap, but then that health bill isn't.
That there are some drawbacks. And here the question is, would you eat meat knowing it was printed by a printer?
Nope.
I don't care how long he works and I don't care what he does. There is no job worth $2 million a year.
So this last clip, I think it might be the last clip, it goes into a little bit more of conspiracy. It goes into bread and circus, like how your government gives you all these entertainment things just to keep you almost sedated, but just to keep you distracted. Not sedated, distracted.
That's why they pay athletes these fantastic salaries. I was listening to radio the other day. They just contracted to pay one player on one team $6 million a year. Can you believe this?
And why is that?
It's the Roman circus. What does the emperor do when the people become restive? And when the people are asking questions and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor? He sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum. And he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world. So that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is. So they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated. So they don't ever question the emperor. 150 of the most powerful men and women in the world can meet in secret in Baden-Baden, Germany, and plot the fate of billions. And nobody even cares about it. But 6 football players go to lunch together, and it's in the headlines across the country.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a means of control, you know? Like, same thing with movies, same thing with propaganda in these movies, same thing with TV shows that promote these ideologies, same thing with shows that take you away from religion, take you away from the family. Same thing with these laws that are being passed, debaucherous laws in this country. Marriage laws to keep people away from each other, to incentivize people to keep away from each other, to keep their children away. Um, I mean, it wastes money, it wastes time, it distracts you, it wastes your energy. Now you have to focus on these things instead of that, and it all it all plays into it. Let's look at some of these comments, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Social media is the new Roman circus, and that's why it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, because it's low effort. You just have a website, some code up, and then it runs 24 hours a day. People could just go on it, spend hours at a time of their free time, and then go right to work. And that's why it's so easy for years and years to go by and not accomplish much. While they don't even use social media like that, but they're deciding the fate of the world. The United Nations, they meet up every year deciding which laws are going to be passed in which countries, which kinds of laws, which kinds of policies, which um, the foreign something committee or something like that had just met earlier, right? Earlier last month or this month, deciding the fate of every country that is involved, right? What kind of policies, what kind of technologies. There's right now multiple countries around the world, leaders in economics, right? China, India, the US, the UK, Canada. Well, I haven't heard much about Canada, but the UK, all in this race for AI, in the revolution of AI. So, how come a lot of the masses, we only found out only when we started to see these GPTs and these talks in the media about AI and the revolution of AI? We didn't find out until then, but they spent countless meetings talking about these things behind closed doors without even us bringing it up like it's a concern. No, it's outside of our concern. It's not our concern. It's really sad how much people complain about the society we all share. We can learn to shut up and enjoy our lives. Can we learn to shut up and enjoy our lives? I mean, you can do that. But everyone else, we like to know what's going on in our world so that we can know how to adjust, right? You can just be content with being blindsided and have to figure out then, but everyone else is going to already know what's coming. The world would suck without sports. Nothing annoys me more than to hear people say shit like we won, like they're part of a team. Did they kill him yet? Wish everyone would wake up to see all the lies our government has told us. And they say a lot of lies. And at the end of the day, I always go back to this thing about the government is they're in charge of making all of you survive. They're in charge of making sure all of you survive. So, of course, they're going to have to keep certain things hidden so there's not mass panic or anything like that. Um, so I understand why the masses aren't, given all this information, because what are you going to do with it, right? The information is more so for them so they can run these countries better, have better control and less unpredictable things happening, because they have to run the country, they have to keep it going. So, but I digress. Let me know what you think about these topics in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this topic of conspiracies, leave a like button. Hit the like button. leave a like button, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video if you enjoyed it. Share it on Facebook, share it on Instagram, share it on Reddit, share it wherever you can. Share it on LinkedIn for all I care. Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't. Comment what you thought about some of these topics, and I hope to see you here next time. Cause I gave you too many chances to like the video. So like the video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.